more of that, but I do want to delve a little bit in the past. Your father was essentially recruited by a very important man, Vito Genovese, who, as you know, most people know of him, and the Genovese family, whether we like it or not, has been the strongest family in the U.S. even to this day. So, like, your father was within the Ivy League of the Mafia and got chosen by one of the original Godfathers to kind of like do work for him, and then eventually, you know, he evidently followed Lombardi. Why do you think your father excelled in that life and got to the ultimate spot, and then was respectfully successful at it? And maybe not as being the present father, but in terms of his success in the life, it's documented. So why do you think it was him? You know, why they chose him, and why do you think he succeeded?
To be quite honest, Dad was extremely charismatic with people. He was very well liked in the neighborhood. He was, and most people don't know this, but he was picked on as a kid because he was fat. You know, he was heavy. And so the older generation would pick on him and call him names, and it left a mark on him. And as he grew up, you know, and he met Vito just absolutely loved him. Took a love for him right from the beginning. Took him under his wing, you know, put him in the boxing ring. Then he drove for him, and little by little, then the you know, Costello and all of that. So, I think Vito recognized someone who was fearless, but really what drove my father to where he got to was power. He liked having the power. It was never about money, because to him, money came and went. It was fluid, you know, but it definitely was about the power. And he's a man of, I want to say, he liked the old ways. So the way things were done in that life back then had certain, you know, for lack of a better way of saying it, certain morals and values and a way to do things, right? And he followed that way to a T.
To a T, yeah.
You know, so he was well respected. He was well liked, and he just knew. I mean, he had that kind of mind where he could have been the CEO of any company. You know, he was smart. So that life gave him power. It gave him the ability to take care of his family, who they were poor. You know, they grew up poor. My mother too. They grew up with holes in their shoes. You know what I mean? My grandmother was a seamstress. And my father's mother was a seamstress. My father's father was a jeweler. You know, there was no money. So having that kind of power, having that kind of energy, it just pushed him in that direction.
Yeah, because as I understand, your family lineage on your father's side is not from a Cosa Nostra family. He was, I believe, the first person to really get into it along with his brothers, correct?
Yes. There was only one incident that happened in Italy with my grandmother, with my grandmother's actual father, who witnessed something from the Black Hand.
Oh, okay.
And he got told, if you stand trial, we kill your whole family. So he, instead of doing it, he killed himself with strychnine, which is a poison. He was a pharmacist, so he knew exactly what he was doing. You know, and my grandmother in Italy was wealthy. She had servants. They were educated people. She was going to be a pharmacist herself, a doctor. You know, this is what, and he was a doctor as well. So it started then, unbeknownst to my grandmother, what was going to occur many, many moons later here, because she came over with my grandfather. And she didn't want to leave. But, you know, back then when women got married, they followed their husbands.
That's it.
He wanted to come here because his family was here.
Correct.
So they end up here. They have 6 children. The first Vincent, which wasn't my father, the first Vincent passed at a very young age.
Yeah, it was like normal back then almost, I hate to say.
Well, no, he pulled a pot of hot boiling water on top of him.
Oh my God, sorry.
In Italy. Yeah, in Italy. And he died from the burns. And then my grandmother had my father, the second Vincent.
And she named him Vincent as well, obviously.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then she had the rest of the kids. And My grandmother had also a gift, as like mine. Both my grandmothers did. They had the gift.